The 6th of June, 1944. Under the code name Operation Overlord, US, British, and Canadian troops crossed the English Channel and began landing on the Normandy coast in France. This operation will become known as D-Day and is the largest amphibious invasion in history, deploying more than 160,000 Allied troops on air, land, and sea. Following the Normandy landings, the French resistance movement intensifies efforts to disrupt German communications and supply lines. German military commanders, particularly those who have seen service on the Eastern Front and experienced the extraordinary brutality of anti-partisan measures there, radicalize and intensify responses to real and perceived resistance activity. One such response is a massacre of almost the entire population of the village of Oradour-sur-Glane, during which in one day, on the 10th of June 1944, the members of the 2nd SS Panzer Division Das Reich killed 240 women, 205 children, and 197 men, and then burned the village to the ground. The division commander is the SS general who also ordered the execution of 99 people in the French town of Tulle. His name is Heinz Lammerding. Heinz Bernhard Lammerding, the son of the architect Heinrich Lammerding and his wife Gertrude, was born on the 27th of August 1905 in the city of Dortmund, then part of the German Empire. In Dortmund, Heinz attended primary school and then also high school, from which he obtained the high school leaving certificate in 1925. After completing a 6-month practical activity in construction, he studied civil engineering at the Technical College in Munich. However, after his father's death in 1927, he had to interrupt his studies to get a job to financially support himself on his own. Still, he did not give up on his intention to get an education and eventually earned a diploma as a certified engineer at the Technical College in Brunswick in 1932. In the early 1930s, Germany faced a grim reality. The global economic depression had devastated the country, leaving millions without work. The widespread unemployment, coupled with the national humiliation following World War I, fueled public discontent. Many Germans saw the parliamentary government as weak and ineffective in addressing the crisis. The economic misery, fear of a worsening future, and frustration with the government's apparent failure to manage the situation created fertile ground for Adolf Hitler and the Nazi Party's rise. The Nazis promised to restore German cultural values, overturn the Treaty of Versailles, counter the perceived communist threat, provide employment, and return Germany to its rightful position as a global power. Heinz Lammerding was among the millions of Germans who believed that Hitler was Germany's only hope, and in 1931 he joined the Nazi Party. The same year, he also joined its paramilitary organization, the SA. On the 30th of January 1933, Adolf Hitler, the leader of the Nazi Party, was appointed Chancellor of Germany. Since the economic circumstances were extremely bad in the construction trades at the time when Lammerding finished his studies, he did not find any promising employment at first. In the fall of 1933, Lammerding took part in a military sports course and became a consultant to the SA leadership in Berlin and the head of the SA's Pioneer School. In 1935, he joined the SS, an elite organization within the Third Reich that after the outbreak of the Second World War was responsible for the final solution, which was the extermination of the European Jewry, as well as other acts of terror and destruction. The Second World War began on the 1st of September 1939 with a German invasion of Poland. At that time, Lammerding had already finished 6 weeks of the course at the War School of the Armed Forces in Munich and had become a tactics teacher at the SS Junker School in Brunswick. Unlike the Wehrmacht's war schools, admission to the SS Junker schools did not require a secondary diploma. Lammerding taught there only briefly, and on the 15th of October 1939, he became commander of the SS Totenkopf Division's Pioneer Battalion, with which he took part in the Western Campaign. The German invasion of France, Belgium, Luxembourg, and the Netherlands started on the 10th of May 1940 and became known as the Battle of France. In November 1940, Heinz Lammerding, already promoted to SS Sturmbannführer, the equivalent of a major, became the first General Staff Officer of the SS Totenkopf Division, and he took part in the preparations for the Russian campaign in the east. Lammerding attended a course for division commanders and general staff officers, serving to direct the leadership of tank troops with extensive movements. Operation Barbarossa, the German invasion of the Soviet Union, began on Sunday, the 22nd of June, 1941. After initial great successes by the German troops, the advance came to a standstill in October and November 1941 due to the onset of the Muddy period. In the winter of 1941 to 1942, Lammerding's division was trapped in the Demyansk pocket, but they broke through. Afterwards, there were some reorganizations, and the new unit, a mixture of the SS and the Wehrmacht, the German armed forces, was created in 1943. It was an anti-partisan unit, and Lammerding was appointed its chief of staff. The task of this new unit was to unify the different anti-partisan forces and lead them in a uniform military way. All military units of the Eastern Front, including the Southeast, should have been combined there in order to operate more successfully in the future. It was Lammerding's task at first to set up a top management. In December 1943, Lammerding came back home to Germany for holiday. However, after a few days, he was called back to take over parts of the SS division Das Reich, which was still operating in Russia. According to some, he lacked the necessary skills for the position and was appointed as division commander thanks to his close personal relationship with the leader of the SS, Heinrich Himmler. In January 1944, the Das Reich division was sent to the southern French town of Montauban as a reserve unit in preparation for the anticipated Allied invasion of occupied Europe. While in southern France, they were ordered to begin operations against the Maquis, that were rural guerrillas who, according to German intelligence reports, were active in the southern uplands of central France. On the 20th of April 1944, Lammerding was promoted to General Major of the Waffen-SS, which was the military branch of the SS, and on the 1st of May 1944, he was awarded the Knight's Cross of the Iron Cross. On the 9th of June 1944, 3 days after the Normandy landings, Heinz Lammerding issued orders for the Das Reich division to break the spirit of the population by making examples and to cleanse the area around Clermont-Ferrand of partisans. That same day, members of the 2nd SS Panzer Division Das Reich, which was commanded by Major Helmut Kempfer, had displayed what cleansing of partisans would mean. In retaliation for killing 15 Germans on Lammerding's order, soldiers of Das Reich hanged 99 male inhabitants of the village of Tulle. The same day, the aforementioned Helmut Kempfer was captured by a group led by Sergeant Jean Canu from Colonel Georges Gangouin's brigade, which was a militant communist group in the Maquis du Limousin, which was one of the largest Maquis groups of French resistance fighters fighting for the liberation of France. Canu handed Kempfer over to Colonel Georges Gangouin, who in response to the Tulle massacre ordered Kempfer's execution on the following day. Though the exact circumstances remain unclear, according to a French informant, the 34-year-old Kempfer and other captured German soldiers were burnt alive in a captured German military ambulance in front of an audience. When the SS division discovered that Kempfer had been kidnapped, Adolf Diekmann, Kempfer's personal friend, led his troops on a brutal search of the surrounding area. 2 local men were shot dead by SS men under Diekmann's command before they finally found Kempfer's handcuffed body inside a German field ambulance with the remains of other German soldiers. After seeing his friend's fate and eventually reaching the outskirts of the village of Oradour-sur-Glane, the enraged Diekmann, acting under Lammerding's orders for retaliation against the resistance, ordered his men to raze the village and kill the inhabitants. The SS soldiers rounded up the entire population and concentrated them on the market square. Thereafter, they separated the villages by gender. An officer announced to the men that he knew of hidden weapons and ammunition supplies, and that whoever was hiding them must step forward immediately. This charge was unsubstantiated, as no one in the village was known to have taken part in resistance activity. Members of the 1st and 2nd platoons took the 203 men to several barns on the edge of town and locked them in. When a signal was given, the SS men shot the local men in the legs and doused them with petrol before the barns were set on fire, burning the men alive. The 3rd platoon then locked up 240 women and 205 children in the village church. The SS men set the church on fire by throwing grenades inside through the windows. Panic ensued within, and the SS then shot anyone who attempted to escape, being burnt alive. After the 642 inhabitants, including 7 Jewish refugees, were dead, the company looted the empty dwellings and then burnt the village to the ground. At about 8 p.m. on the evening of the 10th of June, the SS men withdrew from the smoking ruins. Only 7 villagers survived the massacre, 6 men who were protected by the fallen bodies, and a woman, all of them more or less severely injured. About 15 other inhabitants of the village were able to escape the Germans before the massacre started or evade the roundup by hiding. After his return, Dickmann reported the Oradour events to Lammerding, who, in order to do things properly, instructed the division judge to open a case and start investigating. However, he did not see it as a good enough reason to replace Dickmann. It is unlikely that Dickmann conducted the massacre without either direct order or approval from his superior Heinz Lammerding, who later claimed that he could not replace Dickmann since he did not have any more substitutes as a battalion commander. The day after the destruction of Oradour-sur-Glane, Lammerding was seen sitting outside a cafe in nearby Tulle smoking a cigar. After the war, he was indicted in France for the massacre of 642 people in Oradour-sur-Glane and 99 inhabitants of Tulle, and sentenced to death in absentia by a military court in Bordeaux in 1951 for having ordered the murder of 741 people. Meanwhile, Lammerding, who had already built the life of a successful building contractor in Düsseldorf, was warned, and for a while he went into hiding. However, he was never extradited from West Germany, nor has he ever admitted any responsibility for the Tulle or Oradour-sur-Glane events. The basic law forbade the extradition of Germans to foreign countries. There were repeated diplomatic attempts by France to bring him to justice after all, especially after the historian Jacques Delarue published a book in 1968 on German crimes during the occupation of France with evidence of Lammerding's guilt. The French threatened to send in a commando unit to seize him, just as the Israelis had done in the case of Adolf Eichmann. However, before this could occur, Lammerding died of cancer in Bad Tölz Hospital on the 13th of January 1971. He was 65 years old. Lammerding's funeral in Düsseldorf was attended by 200 former SS comrades. The men who commanded the division which massacred hundreds of French civilians died as rich men, without ever having been brought to trial or even arrested on any charges at all. There were no tears shed for Heinz Lammerding. Thanks for watching the World History Channel. Be sure to like and subscribe, and click the bell notification icon so you don't miss our next episodes. We thank you, and we'll see you next time on the channel.